Hey everybody, welcome to Lessons with Troy, the podcast. I'm your host, Troy Brenningmeyer. Today's guest is Hawaiian steel guitar player Mark Prucha. It's truly astounding how much Mark has accomplished on the steel guitar in such a short amount of time. Having only played the steel guitar for just a few short years, Mark has already been a featured artist at the 2015 Waikiki Hawaiian Steel Guitar Fest, sharing the stage with such greats as Bobby Engano, Greg Sardina, Jeff Ahoy, Gary Aiko, and Mark's teacher, Alan Akaka. He is a member of the Chicago-based Hawaiian group Ho'opili and will also be a featured artist at the upcoming Aloha International Steel Guitar Festival in Winchester, Indiana. In this podcast, we talk all things Hawaiian steel guitar, and Mark has also tabbed out his arrangement of the tune Honolulu March, which, if you're interested in learning, I will have the tab, jam track, and performance track available for purchase on my other site at www.onlinelessonvideos.com. For more information about Mark's band, Ho'opili, you can visit their website at www.myhoapili.com, and that's myhoapili.com. And for more information about the Aloha International Steel Guitar Festival in Winchester, Indiana, you can visit their Facebook page. Just do a search on Facebook for Aloha International Steel Guitar Club. Thanks for tuning in and enjoy the show. And remember, if you want to learn more about lap steel, dobro, Weissenborn, and more, be sure to check out my site at www.lessonswithtroy.com. Hey everybody, welcome to the podcast. Let's go ahead and make welcome all the way from, I believe, Naperville, right?
Yeah, Naperville.
Naperville, Illinois, Mark Prucha. What's up, Mark?
Hey, how are you?
Hi, welcome to the podcast.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, good to have you here. I always think it's funny, you know, the more I meet Hawaiian steel guitar players, how many of us are in Illinois?
Yeah, I know, right? I guess it was like it hit the mainland later on, you know. It came from Hawaii to Hollywood and then kind of went from there. We've had a lot of, you know, different conventions and things out in the mainland, so.
Yeah, you had mentioned, I think I was reading your bio, which actually I got to point people to that. If you guys haven't checked it out, go to steeltrappings.com. I mean, a lot of the bio stuff that I may ask him on this podcast is on that website. But you had mentioned the Joliet. There's a Hawaiian steel guitar.
Yeah, there used to be. I started going there, I guess it was like 2012, and then they moved it to Fort Collins, Colorado.
I was wondering. I was like, that's cool. There's one in Illinois.
Yeah,
but that's the one that moved to Fort Collins. Are you going to the one in Fort Collins?
I'd like to at some point, but I don't have any plans for this year, I know. It's a little far, you know, compared to Joliet. Yeah. But there's also another convention in Indiana, the Aloha International Steel Guitar Club. I don't know if you've heard of them. But
Nick Fryer had mentioned that to me, I believe.
Yeah, they're in Winchester, Indiana, and I'm actually going to be the guest artist there in July. I think it's like, I have to check, but I think it's like July 13th, 14th, 15th.
Oh, that's cool.
That's a very cool convention. Very small town type atmosphere. Very friendly people, great players.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Let me see what now. I'll see if I can pull up some info on that. What's that one called again?
It's the Aloha International Steel Guitar Convention.
Aloha International.
I believe they have a website, but it's under construction.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be one that a lot of people may want to go to.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to, just Google that if you're you're on that or listening to this. Yeah, that might be something. I had looked into that. I think from where I'm at, you know, close to St. Louis, it's not too far. It's maybe 3 hours or something.
Yeah, it's like a 4-hour, 5-hour drive from here. So the thing is, there's no like major highway that goes straight there, so you kind of got to go around. So
that's too bad they moved the one from Joliet. I saw that in your bio, and I'm like, I was getting all excited. I wanted to talk to you.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, I think it's still going well. They're having HSGA, they're having Eddie Palama this year, I think. And he's a great player. Cool. I got to hear him in Hawaii while I was there, and he sounds really good. So I think it'll be a great convention this year.
Yeah, yeah, I need to go. That's not too far. I know, flying from St. Louis, that's a real quick flight. I don't know what it is. It's just a couple-hour flight, I think.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Driving is a whole different thing.
Right, for
12-hour
sure.
drive.
For sure.
Well, cool, man. Well, why don't you tell our audience just a little bit, how did you get started with all this, steel guitar and Hawaiian music?
Yeah, sure. So I guess it started like when I was 7 or 8 years old. I listened to an Is CD. And do you know Is? Yeah, like Over the Rainbow. Yeah. So his CDs were like, that CD, the Facing Future CD that I listened to, came out in like 93. And that was the year I was born, actually. It was like really popular for like a decade after. And it was being sold in all the different stores around here and, pretty popular. So I listened to that CD. And I really just kind of gained an appreciation for Hawaiian music. Now, there wasn't really any, I don't think, steel guitar in that one. But that kind of was what sparked my interest. And then later on, I listened to some Hawaii Call CDs, which is, much older, different type feel. But on there, I got to hear the steel guitar. And
about how old were you then when you were getting into the Hawaii Call stuff?
I was probably like 10 or 11.
Okay. Man, that's young.
But yeah, I wasn't like playing or anything. But it was kind of in the back of my mind at that point. Like, that's a cool instrument. It sounded really sweet on there. So, I kind of had it in the back of my mind that I wanted to learn it. So it wasn't until, I guess it was like 2010 when I went to Hawaii. And I saw in a magazine that they were having the first annual Waikiki Beach Walk Steel Guitar Festival. And this was the festival that Alan produced.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I went there, and obviously I got to hear all these great, Hawaiian steel guitar players. And I met Alan briefly there. We had a brief conversation. I don't know if he even remembers it. But, I talked to him, like, about, entry-level steel guitars and things. He recommended, like, the Rogue, which is, like, an $80 to $100 steel.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The Amazon
Yeah.
Rogue, yeah.
So I got back home, and I actually ended up buying the Rogue. Now, this is, like, I'm obviously older. This is 2010, so it's not that long ago. So I kind of just messed around with it for a little while. And then, by fate, I saw that the Hawaiian Steel Guitar Association had their convention in Joliet, not that far from where I live. So I went there and met some great players, and one of the guys there actually put me in touch with Alan. And unbeknownst to me, he actually emailed Alan on behalf of me saying, if there's this guy who wants to learn the steel guitar, he knew that he gave Skype lessons. So I received an email from Alan, just out of the blue. I was like, wow, this is awesome. So we didn't start lessons until like the following summer. So I guess it was like 2011. And I thought I was going to take like a few lessons, 4 or 5 lessons. And I ended up going forever with Alan. That was kind of the changing point with Alan. He worked on for the first year and a half, just technique. And, he'd send me like an arrangement like every week, and I do my best to memorize it, and we just keep going. And I don't even know how he wrote so many arrangements in such a short period of time, because it's like unbelievable. So so then we worked on like fills, and eventually he got me writing my own arrangements and things such as that. So yeah, he was a big part in that.
Nice. So when you're taking these lessons with Alan, we had talked about this, before we came on Skype, but you're memorizing these. Like, you basically would get one in a week, and you would spend the whole week, and you would get it to where, not where you're reading the tab anymore, right? To where you actually got the whole thing memorized.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And like for the longer arrangements, that was tougher, but really it just came down to a heck of a lot of practice. I was practicing for like 3 hours a day at that point. So.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. I mean, his arrangements are tough. I mean, just to even
they're tough, but they're really well written too. It's like unbelievable how well these are written. I mean, obviously you've seen them, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was telling you before. I mean, when I was taking lessons with him, he would give me these to record for the Skype and for the podcast. There's no way. I mean, it would be the only thing I'd have to be able to do to be able to get something like that memorized. I would go measure by measure and try to record it and piece the whole thing kind of together. But that's impressive that you could get those down in just a week, you know?
Yeah, well, yeah, it was a heck of a lot of practice.
So I'm just curious, you know, was he talking much theory then? Or were you, when you were learning these, were you just kind of going through the motions? Not going through the motions,
well,
but were you understanding what you were playing?
Yeah, so I kind of had an advantage because, like, when I was about 5 or 6, I actually learned the piano and kind of how to sight read music and, you know, theory and stuff like that. My sister actually took piano lessons, and I never took lessons, but she had all the level books, so I just went through them one by one and kind of learned everything I needed to. And then, you know, I had played guitar and other stuff, so the steel kind of came a little bit more naturally to me than if I hadn't done any kind of instruments before.
For sure. Yeah. So you're writing your own arrangements now. Where are you using much theory, or are you just kind of going by what you've learned from Alan's and transcribing different people's stuff?
Yeah, it's probably a combination. You know, obviously you want to, theory-wise, you want it to be correct so that it sounds right and everything. Obviously, like, I listen to different players, and it helps to know theory because you can figure out, you know, what they're playing, what chords they're playing. You know, like if you listen to like a Jules C, or like all that chord work in there. You know, Alan obviously was influenced by him because you hear a lot of that in Alan's playing also. So different licks such as that, and, you know, incorporating them into different arrangements as well. So
nice. Yeah, I mean, something that I really love when Alan, you know, has an arrangement are those split bar chords.
Oh yeah,
where he gets such cool harmony. You know, with the split bar. I mean, do you have any of those kind of chords, or what's your arrangement like? I guess I should mention that for this podcast, you wrote out your arrangement of Honolulu March, right?
Right. Yeah, that was a song that I had actually begun writing when I was a student of Alan's, and I've since kind of tweaked a few things. I made it simpler so that, you know, more people can play it. Originally, I had like harmonics and all kinds of different things. I simplified it a bit, but yeah. So as far as like chord work, it also depends on the tuning you're using. I'm getting into the C Diatonic tuning, which is a 7-string tuning, where you can get some really lush chords out of that, and that was one of Jerry Bird's tunings.
Now, what would that be? I've never heard of that one.
Yeah, so from top to bottom, it's a diatonic. So from top to bottom, it'd be like the tuning first string E, then C, B, A, G, F, E.
Wow. Yeah. That's a weird tuning.
Yeah, it's a crazy tuning. But you can get, obviously, you get nines, you can get all different sorts of chords out of it. I mean, if you listen to, I think, one of Jerry's albums, well, Jerry used it on a few different albums, but I think the By Request album has a few tunes with it on the C Diatonic tuning. And usually it's more for like slower songs and, you know, where you want kind of those rich chords as opposed to like the fast ones where you're doing a lot of single string work. And
now, is that tuning lend itself well more to the straight bar chords or the split bar kind of slant chords?
But you can do both because, like, you know, like the split bar chords you can pull off like you would do for the C6 tuning because you have your E, C, and then your G string. Mm-hmm. So you got like your ninth if you do a split bar on those, or, you know, something like that.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's neat. Actually, that leads me into a question. Wasn't a whole lot of questions that came up on Facebook, but let me mention some of these questions. So Guy, let me see what his last name is. Guy Pernetti asks, could you ask him how many tunings does he use?
How many tunings? That I would perform with, that I feel comfortable enough that I'm performing with. I pretty much use C13th, C6th, but, you know, with 8 strings, I would just make it a C13th. And then B11th, and then the C diatonic, which I've been using quite a bit lately.
Nice.
Now, when you learn from Alan, he teaches you, like, all different kinds of tuning. You'll go into, you know, the B11th, the E13th, he goes into the D9th, you know, things such as that. I'm sure you've seen some of those arrangements as well.
Yeah, a few. I mean, it gets to a point to where it's almost tune specific. Like this tune is a lot easier, sounds better for this tuning. Have you found that, or do you find that one is like a little bit better for improvising?
No, for sure. It's depending on the type of song, the style you're going to play the song. Like an E13th, it's going to be more for like a swing hapa type tune, as opposed to like, if you're doing like Feet Rogers, like Sons of Hawaii stuff, you're going to, like what I use would be like a C6 and just do some arpeggios. You're not going to do kind of, those crazy chords that you would otherwise.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, that's cool to know what tuning gives you what kind of a sound. I guess I would like to know a little bit more about that. Could you maybe talk a little bit more about like different like specific tunes that might require certain tunings? I think
sure. So so see diatonic tuning, like I mentioned, like slow songs. So you could do like a Stardust on that, or you could do like I was fumbling around with Moon River in C diatonic, and really lush chords. Beautiful sounding. Whereas like you could do for an E13th, you could do like what am I thinking of? Like Across the Sea, I think Alan had an arrangement of that.
Okay.
You can do that with B11th also. Obviously, Sand, B11th, or Mapuana.
Mapuana.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. But basically, you can play anything in C6 from what I've learned, and I've always heard that as well. But like I've done Sand in C6 as well, which is it's not quite as lush and good as it is in B11th, but I mean it still works, and you can finagle certain things and make it work.
Nice. Well, cool. Well, I wanted to mention too a cool place I wanted to visit, and I know you play there a lot, and we had talked about this before we started recording, but talk a little bit, if you can, about that Tiki Terrace place. Is it as cool as what it? I mean, it looks incredible.
Yeah.
The food looks amazing.
Yeah. So it's an authentic Hawaiian restaurant. It's in a strip mall in Des Plaines, Illinois, and the guy who I believe owns it, I think it's the guy who owns it, does all his own wood carvings. So he's got all these intricate wood carvings, all decorating the entire restaurant. And then they have live music. They have a luau show, which the restaurant produces as well, I think on Saturday nights. And then I play there with a group the fourth Thursday of every month. And I think I heard that you were going to have Dave Kolars, because I think he plays there as well. I think he's like the second Thursday maybe. So yeah.
So you guys kind of alternate or something.
Right.
It's cool. Yeah. That's so cool that, Dave, you, myself, there's another guy from Springfield, Illinois that I met at the 2016 Maui Steel Guitar Festival. I'm like, what is going on with Illinois and Hawaiian steel guitar? I'd mentioned that before, but it's man, it's like the Midwest. You wouldn't think that there would be so many steel guitar players from there. Maybe it was the Joliet Hawaiian.
It definitely could have been. I know like the Oahu method was really big in the Midwest too. The old Oahu Publishing Company.
Yeah, okay.
So, for the older players, they learned on that. So yeah, that could have had something to do with it as well.
Nice. Well, you're talking about the Tiki Terrace and your band playing there. Let's talk about your band.
Yeah.
So it's called and I'm horrible at pronouncing this stuff, but Ho'opili, right?
Ho'opili, yeah. And that's the Hawaiian word for friendship, I believe. But
okay.
They're a great group, authentic Hawaiian band. Our lead singer, Ron Cabanada, he's from Hawaii. Actually, all three of the guys lived in Hawaii at some point and then moved over here for work and, different things. So Ron plays guitar and the ukulele, and then Tina Kamei, he is his grandfather, I believe, was Eddie Kamei's cousin. And so Eddie Kamei was one of the founders of the Sons of Hawaii, I think. So,
nice.
Obviously it's in his blood as well, the music. and then the bass player, Danny Yamamoto, his great-grandmother is Edith Kanakaole. I'm not sure if you've heard of her, but she's pretty well-known traditional Hawaiian songwriter. She created quite a few hula standards that they play nowadays. So
nice.
yeah.
Well, cool. And what kind of gigs are you guys doing?
We've basically been doing everything. We've been doing parties, weddings. I was mentioning you got us a gig actually in the city for a clothing store. We were playing. Yeah. We were playing there. It was an island type clothing store. So yeah, we did like a 2-hour show there for the shoppers and.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's been pretty busy. In the summer, obviously, it picks up a lot more. So been kind of busy. And Ron's wife, Leanne, she is the president of the Hula Association of the Midwest.
Okay.
So she runs different events for hula around here as well. So we just did a Aloha Jam, which was a hula event in Downers Grove. We did that, I think, last week. So,
nice.
Yeah.
Now, do you get requests, because I do all the time, that they actually want dancers and like the fire swingers and all that? And it's like music seems to be kind of third priority. What I see with this, a lot of the gigs that I get asked for, they're like, we want hula dancers. And it's like, well, what about the music?
Yeah, right. Yeah, we've gotten that a lot. Luckily, we've been covered because, she's a hula dancer, Leanne, and her daughter's a hula dancer, and since she's the president, she knows all these hula dancers, so yeah, we've been pretty covered as far as that, as well as, fire dancers and things. Now, usually most people don't request a fire dancer for a gig. But definitely the hula.
Yeah, I guess in Chicago, there's all kinds of different kinds of gigs, It seems like what we get called for is more the backyard kind of little luau things where they'll have the pig on a stick and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we've had plenty of those as well. It all depends, basically, and different people see you online or they hear about you from one place to another. And
nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's so it's you had mentioned that the website is www.myhoapili, and I'll spell that for you.
Yeah.
For the listeners, you know how to spell it. But my, and then it's HOAPILI.com, right?
Right, that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah, and then if you're on Facebook, you'd mentioned that it's Friends of Ho'opili.
Right.
So go out and check that out if you can.
Yep.
Well, cool, man. Let's maybe dive into this tune a little bit.
Yeah.
We're gonna. I wanted to tell the listeners too that Mark has got the tablature, the jam tracks, performance tracks, and I'm going to put that up on my other site where you have seen Alan's, lessons or his. Not necessarily a lesson, but it's more the tablature and all that stuff that's for sale on there. So if you want to learn Mark's awesome arrangement of this, go to www.onlinelessonvideos.com and you can get that. So yeah, let's talk about Honolulu March a little bit. Yeah,
so this is a song that it's, I guess, over 100 years old now. The oldest steel guitar recording I know of is Pale Kelua. He did it in 1914. I think that's somewhere on YouTube. And obviously, that was before electric steels were invented, so they were all using, acoustic type. So yeah, it's a very kind of a wacky tune. I know Soho PE picked it up then later on, I think in the 20s or 30s, and as well as the Netherlands players, Rudy Wairata and George De Freitas. They got some great versions of it as well. So I kind of took some licks and different things and threw that into the tab that I heard from other players, as well as, trying to keep it simple enough so that whoever wants to play it, you can add your own licks. It's about an 8-page arrangement, so it's kind of long, but it's a fun tune to learn. It's a little advanced, but I think you'll have a lot of fun with it.
Now, do you have, I didn't even ask you this when we got going, do you have your steel with you?
I do, it's right here.
Cool. I mean, let's show that to the people, and then maybe we can dive into some different parts of this that you want to show.
The good old fry pan. I got this from the Fuzzy Pedal Steel Guitar Company in Japan. That's run by Mitsuo Fuji.
Okay.
And also known as, the Excel guitars. So,
gotcha.
yeah. Jerry, I guess later after he made the Showbud models, he went through Excel company to manufacture his fry pan. So this is the Jerry Bird fry pan made by Excel. So yeah, it's got a cool tone. Single coil pickup, not a real horseshoe, but it's still pretty cool tone. So yeah, I've been mostly using this for my gigs, especially with Ho'opili, because they do a lot of Sons of Hawaii stuff. So all I need is really a single neck, C6 type tuning.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's an 8-string?
Yeah, this is an 8-string. I got it tuned to C13, which is what I learned from Alan, and it's also the tuning Jules Ossie used.
Okay, and that's from thickest to thinnest. It's the root, right? C, B flat, right? That's the 2 lowest strings. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah. So I guess like from top to bottom, E, C, A, G, E, C, B flat, and then a low C.
You're like Alan.
Yeah.
That messes me up every time. I always do it from 6 to 1, and Alan does it. I'm like, what? Like, you guys are now the only 2 people on earth, I think, that
go top to bottom. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, cool. Well, I'm curious, what amp are you using too?
I have a Fender twin reverb that I've been using mostly, and that sounds really good because it stays clean.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like stuff that breaks up a ton, so you can get it pretty loud and it'll stay clean.
So you're going on these gigs with a Fender Twin then?
No, I also use a Yamaha THR, which is the kind Alan uses.
Okay.
And usually I kind of use that as like a head amp and then plug into a sound system. Gotcha. But if there's like no inputs, or if we got like a ton of different things that need being plugged in, I'll bring the amp. But that's kind of a backbreaker, so I try to avoid it.
Yeah, I know those are super heavy.
Yeah.
Have what's your thoughts of amps? Like Bobby Engano, I know, plays the little
the Roland, I think, right?
Roland Micro Cube.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are kind of cool. I mean, for the price and then for the size, and they run on batteries.
Yeah, right. Yeah. There's some great amps out there. The key is, being able to set them properly to get the sound that you want. For me, like, I would just crank the bass usually, no matter what I'm playing in, and then kind of keep the mids at around 4 and then the treble kind of lower. And that seems to have worked for me. But yeah, it all depends on the player.
Nice. Are you using one of Basil's slides?
No, this is just a plain old Dunlop that I got way back when that I've been using. Yeah.
Well, cool, man. Yeah, what's some challenging parts you think of your arrangement?
So there's a lot of, in this arrangement, you'll see there's like a lot of grace notes, and that's, here, see if I can move to my steel.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. So, there's a lot of grace notes, and so like at the first run, there's like a... So you got like a grace note there. 2 grace notes. And then...
how are you doing that with the right hand?
What?
How are you doing that with your right hand?
So, this is like what a lot of the old players did, these kinds of techniques. Basically, you just do thumb finger, index finger, middle finger. You do it real fast so that you can block it then. Like that.
Cool.
Yeah. So
I've learned something today. I've always heard Alan do that, and I didn't know exactly what the fingering was that he would use to do something like that.
Yeah. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff in this arrangement, actually. So obviously mastering that's kind of a priority to play this. There's also like I heard Sol Ho'opili do a tune, or do a lick, I guess. Yeah, so I put that in there as well. And that's basically just so you're playing the first string. So you're playing E notes on both. You're playing the first string and then the second string. Not sure if you can see that.
Yeah.
So that's in there cool. as well as a couple like reverse slants. So
okay.
So you want to get those down as well. So yeah, it's a little advanced, but it's a fun tune. I mean, the recording's there, so you'll hear it. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna kind of dive into some questions here. So,
sure.
What's some things, I know the challenging part of playing steel or Hawaiian steel, obviously tone and blocking and playing in tune, all these kind of fundamental things that are kind of challenging. Maybe talk about, because, just in what little you played for me right there, you've got awesome intonation. Maybe I'm going to dive into just kind of a little parts. What do you recommend for people to work on intonation?
Oh, all right. Well, I would, if your intonation's bad on your slants, what I would do is set up one of those tuners, the ones that can take the vibration and tell you, how flat you are, or how sharp you are on a note. And I would just leave that on and then make sure you get it to the point where you're hitting green on the tuner for both notes. I mean, this is something that I did way back when, and the more you do that, the more you're going to learn how much pressure you're going to need to apply to the bar to get proper intonation. So that's one thing that really helped me. And then, obviously, picking's kind of a difficult thing when you start off with the finger picks. Usually what I did when I started off was just basically take a metronome and just keep picking and try it with different strings, and basically just do that for a few hours with all your fingers, hit the right notes with the palm blocking, obviously. And yeah, that was a big help. I mean, when you do that for hours on end, you start to get used to the string spacing on your guitar, which is can be kind of challenging for different players, especially if you're used to real wide spacing and then you go get a different guitar and it's got a narrower spacing. So yeah, I would say that helps quite a bit as well.
Let me dive in a little bit to your slant technique. If you can just kind of slow that down, like maybe, do a slant. Let me see where you're putting your bar and all that.
Yeah, sure. So here's just a normal, I'll do a forward slant first. So this is the way I learned from Alan. You want to be able to manipulate the bar so that you can easily tilt it forward and then apply pressure with your index finger to get the strings in tune. Like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
That sounds so Hawaiian, and I always mention this to Alan. I honestly, I mean, you're doing a lot there, but I really think that Hawaiian sound, a lot of it comes from that vibrato.
Yeah.
Can you explain your approach to vibrato a little bit?
Yeah, so it's kind of individual for each player. I would say a lot of the older players, they seem to use a much wider vibrato than they do now. Now it's kind of more like a sweet type of vibrato. But if you hear some of the older recordings like Soho P, he'll do that kind of thing. But it's really individual to each player. The key to vibrato, obviously, you want to make sure to start with you're properly intonated on the fret. Then you just want to move slowly back and forth around that intonation point. So that was that's a big thing for Hawaiian music, as opposed to country where you just kind of play it straight.
Yeah. So you're let's say the fret is right there. You're going pretty much equally in front of the fret and behind the fret with your vibrato. Is
Yeah,
that right?
that's ideally, I think that's where you want to be. Now, if you're going from like somewhere down here, obviously you want to approach it properly too. I mean, you can do like just kind of do a quick slide and then go around the point there.
Okay.
You know, for like this arrangement, there's like a Rudy Wairata thing that he used to do where like he would do like so like you almost have like a slur there.
Nice.
So it's really,
and who is
with Hawaiian music, it's really just as much as hitting the notes as it is, you know, getting from one to another. I mean, that's kind of half the battle there.
Now, you had mentioned a guy's name. Who's that again?
Rudy Wairata, and he was an Indonesian player who I guess moved to the Netherlands, and he does a mean version of this Honolulu March song. So yeah, check him out if you can. He, you know, they call it like tickling the strings, like, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a really good player.
Okay, well, I probably have a lot more, but let's check out your approach to split bar chords and maybe some cool voicings.
Yeah. So like, okay, so say you're like backing up a player, you know, you want a ninth chord or whatever. So say I want to do like a C ninth, I can do like this. And there's your split bar. So you want to apply pressure between strings 1 and 2 on the 10th fret, and then you want to be able to slide down.
And what else strings are you playing there?
So I'm playing strings 1, 2, and 4.
1, 2, and 4. Okay.
On the 10th fret, and then on the 4th string, 10th fret, I'm sliding that down to the 9th fret.
Okay, and then you're with the split bar chords. You're taking the tip of your bar, and you're kind of putting a little bit of pressure on string 2, right, to kind of push it down, literally down a little bit?
Yeah, you want to obviously apply the right pressure to both strings. Now, you want the advantage of having a round nose bar, like as opposed to a Stevens, you probably couldn't pull that off on that type of bar. But with the round nose, you can get in between strings 1 and 2 there. So then it's just a matter of applying the right pressure to keep everything in tune.
Yeah.
Which, like I said, if you have like a tuner on you, you know, you can tell how in tune your notes are, and then, you know, it eventually becomes muscle memory.
Nice. What about, let's do some, and I guess, you know, depending on what the root note is, these could be lots of different chords, but you said you had mentioned ninth chords, and that's real super useful. What about like major sevenths or augmented or weird diminished chords or anything like that? Do you know any of those using split bar?
Using split bar, not really on this tuning that I would.
Okay.
I mean, you can do like you could do like so here's like a C major seventh. So you have your E, your G, your B. I mean, you're leaving out the root, and that's just a straight. Yeah. You could also, I guess, do like a slant up here.
Nice.
And that's just a regular slant. String 1, 12th fret, 11th fret, string 2, and then 10th fret, string 3. So that's just a normal slant. So I mean, you know, it's technically an E minor, but you can use it as a C major seventh as well, because obviously, you know, with some of the more complex chords, they have simpler chords inside of them. So
yeah, nice. Let's see. I got all kinds of things that I could want you to do. Is there any cool intros that you're just dying to show everybody?
It really depends on the song. Like for what Ho'opili and I do, we mostly just kind of vamp. So I do like, I know like a billion different types of amps. So you can do like,
yeah, that'd be great.
You know, kind of thing.
Nice. Nice.
You know, if you're doing more like swing, like if you're in the key of G, you can go B minor, B flat minor, A minor, D7. You know, that kind of thing.
So like a 3-6-2-5-1 thing?
Yeah, so it'd be like a B minor, B flat minor, A minor to your D7.
Nice.
Yeah. So
very cool. Yeah, I love intros. I need to do another lesson on just cool intros.
Yeah. Intros are definitely fun.
There's one that, talking about swing intros, there's one that Alan does a lot. He'll do it for like, what is it? Is it Maui or I'm going Maui tomorrow.
Yeah. See if I can show it on here. I think it's yeah.
What is that one? Show us that.
So yeah, this is so you're playing like a G6. So you got your B, D, then your E. So you're playing an open E, and then strings 2 and 3 on the 2nd fret.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can show it better.
Oh yeah, that looks good.
Yeah. Okay, so you're lifting the bar too to play between strings 2 and 3.
Okay.
And then you're just moving that down a fret for a B flat diminished.
Okay.
And then here's your A minor. Just open strings 1, 2, and 3. And then you would play strings 1 and 2 open, and then string number 5, you go from fret 3 to 2. Nice. So yeah, that's like I guess it would be your 1 chord, your diminished, so your 3 diminished, 3 flat diminished. Your open 2 minor, 5.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was listening to you guys on YouTube. There's a bunch of videos from, I think, the Waikiki festival that you played, and 2015 was it?
Yeah. I played there 2015.
Yeah. That's really cool. And what was the one tune that you played at the Marriott, I believe, the slow Jerry Bird?
Oh yeah, Estrelita. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so pretty.
Yeah, that's a nice song. Yeah, I kind of learned it from. I saw an arrangement of Jerry's, and then I kind of just added a few different things, and different things such as that. And that was done in the C6A7 tuning, which Alan also teaches. Basically, it's the same, but for like a 6-string guitar, if you sharpen the 6th string to a C sharp, that is basically the tuning. So then you'd have like, if I do it right here, let's see. Okay, so now I have like so now if I play the bottom 4 on a 6-string tuning, so that's like a D7th right there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's really
a nice chord.
Yeah. Yep.
That's cool.
Yep.
Yeah, that's on my to-do list to learn. You had mentioned was Stardust.
Stardust.
I know Jerry Bird does that. Now, do you know what tuning he does that on?
I think he used the diatonic tuning on that, just based on listening to it. I haven't heard it in a while, so I'm not for sure. But
yeah,
I think he used a diatonic, and that was the E, C, B, A, G, F, E. That's a 7-string tuning.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Let's see here. Any other cool intros that you want to show us that's just popping in your mind? As far as, I love those vamps, man. I can't.
The vamps, yeah, and you can do like, chordal vamps too. So like, say I want like, say I'm in C, want to do like 2/5. So. that's just a chordal vamp.
Yeah.
You'll hear a lot of the chord stuff with Jules Aussie if you listen. Now, somewhere online there's what's called the Tapper Room tapes. I'm not sure if you've heard those. Yeah. I mean, that stuff is like gold for chord work. But he's using like 3 different tunings on it too, so you got to kind of figure out what he's using where. I believe he's using the C13th, B11th, and the E13th. But yeah, that stuff is terrific.
Nice. So I got let me see. We got another question here.
Okay.
Shinichi, I know Shinichi, he's a great guy. Kakiuchi, I believe you pronounce his name. He's from Japan, and he says, how many songs, and I'll try to kind of translate this, what he's saying. How many songs, he says he owns a repertoire of, I'm not sure how many songs, I guess, in your repertoire of steel guitar solos, and who is his most favorite style player?
Okay. So the number of steel guitar solos, like arrangements, you think?
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, basically what I learned from Alan and then what I've worked on myself. So probably somewhere over 100.
Whoa.
But yeah.
Nice.
Now as far as like, improvising and making up solos, as long as you know different songs, you can do that as well and you know the chords. As far as steel guitar styling, I think I've been probably most influenced by my teacher, just because I've learned a lot of licks from him and technique and things. And as I said, you hear a lot of Jerry and his playing and a lot of Jules Aussie. So those two as well have been kind of big for me. Jules with the chords and all that. And then Jerry as far as like kind of the melodic lines that he used. A lot of his stuff was scale-based, it seemed to me. Especially if you listen to like a lot of his fills and things, how he backed up a singer. He kind of would, he'd hit the main notes and then kind of dance around and, things like that. If you listen to like even some of his earlier recordings, like Analani A, I don't know if you've heard that one by him, but talk about like just dancing around the notes. Just really good stuff. So him as well, and I really like his touch and tone. Obviously, so like Estrelita and stuff. And then I like listening to a lot of the earlier players like Soho Opi'i. This March that I have is obviously taken from a lot of the earlier stuff, like King Benny Navahi and players like that. So I try to incorporate different things that I hear from all of them.
Very cool.
Yeah.
A couple of my favorites, and I'm curious what you think. Billy Hugh Lynn and Barney Isaacs. I really love those two guys.
Yeah.
Just such a cool swing feel. I think I'm kind of attracted to that. The swingy part of Hawaiian music.
Yeah. Well, as I understand it, I know Barney, I think, was influenced by Jules as well. At least that's what I read somewhere. So you hear some of that in his playing as well.
Nice.
And Billy Huey Len, great player. And even like the players now too. I mean, they've been a big influence on me because I've actually gotten to see them up close and see what they're doing. Like, Bobby Engano, Greg Sardina, Jeff Ahoy.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Nice. Have you, us both being Illinois boys, is there any plans in the future of a relocation to Hawaii? Have you ever thought of that?
Yeah, I've thought of it a lot. I'd like to at some point. Obviously, like, I think jobs are kind of scarce right now in Hawaii. The people who are living there right now obviously need to be taken care of first. So,
yeah.
But at some point, I'd love to, especially because like you reach a point where you're like listening to all these recordings and you figure out what they're doing on them, but you want to see it like up close. You want to kind of be immersed in it. So yeah, I'd like to at some point.
Yeah, I've thought of that. We collect so much stuff, like me in my studio, and it's like I'd have to sell everything. I don't know how I'd even get to Hawaii. And what do you do? Put everything on a ship and like ship it over to Hawaii? I mean,
yeah, I know, right. And it's cost of living's I think quite a bit more than here too. So yeah.
And I don't know too, like gig gig wise, it seems like a lot of those gigs would be, you know, the masters like Greg Sardina and Alan, all those guys are trying to get gigs, you know, so
yeah,
it seems
right.
like they'd be pretty taken up.
Well, even like now, it's a shame because like it seems like the Halekulani, obviously they still have the Hawaiian music and the Hawaiian steel guitar, but a lot of the other hotels have moved kind of to more contemporary Hawaiian music, so the steel guitar has kind of been left out. So obviously what Alan's doing has been great to revive it and bring it back, and all the steel festivals and things, you know, raising awareness for the instrument. So yeah,
I'd love to go to all of his festivals, the Kauai one, and you know it's just such a long flight, an expensive flight, you know.
Right. Yeah, I've been to the main islands except for Kauai, so I think that may be the next festival. Hopefully, maybe next year, or hopefully, we'll see.
Cool, man. Well, you know, I always like to ask people what some of their favorite albums are, you know, that people can recommend, and maybe there's iTunes or Amazon or Spotify or something that people can check out, some albums that you'd recommend for people.
I recently got an album not that long ago. It's called Islands Call. It was a tribute to Hawaii Calls, and it's got, I think it was done maybe in the 80s. You'll have to ask Alan, but it's got Alan on it, Jerry Bird on it, and then Barney Isaacs. So the three of them. Have you heard that album? Yeah.
I have. I mean, where could I find it?
It may be out of print now, but maybe if you can Google it, you can find like a used copy or something.
That's the hard thing with a lot of these really good Hawaiian albums. Islands Call?
Islands Call, yeah. That was a great album. Alan, I think, plays a Weisenborn for Hapahaole Hula Girl. And he just tears it up. It's awesome.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, I'm Googling it now. Oh, Islands Call, there it is.
Yeah.
I'm allmusic.com. Looks like that has it. That's cool. I don't know. I guess you can. I've never seen this site. Allmusic.com.
Okay.
Alan Akaka and the Islanders. Nice.
Yeah. So I think when I talked with Alan, he said that I guess Jerry worked on some of the arrangements as well, and so they had like a trio, so 3 steel guitars at once and a couple of songs. So yeah, it's really cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. What else you got to recommend?
Let's see. I obviously like the Tap Room tapes. That's not an album, but if you can Google those and find those are great to listen to. I mentioned the By Request album by Jerry. I like a lot of those songs. He does a lot of medleys and things like that. Yeah, I like that album a lot. And then even some of the newer stuff, like Greg Sardina recently released an album. I think it was called Stainless, I think. Have you heard of that one? Yeah. And that's like...
Yeah.
So, you know, obviously Greg does a lot more contemporary type stuff on the steel, so he's kind of pushing it forward. But, yeah, he does some... what is the song on it? That Elvis tune, Can't Help Falling in Love. He just turns it into like a rock arrangement. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you, you know, I'm always looking for like other albums that maybe some of these guys, like they back up other people, like Jeff Ahoy. You know any albums with him on it?
I know he's on a lot, but I don't really know of them.
Yeah.
I know like Gary Aiko released an album not that long ago, and Alan was backing him up on that. And then there's an older album that Gary released, and I think Jerry was backing him up on that one. So if you search Gary Aiko albums, you may be able to find both of them. You know, Bobby's been on quite a few albums as well. I think I have a few, but I can't think of the names of them as far as who he's backing up. But yeah. I mean, so many different styles, so many different types of music, but, you know, they do such a good job of, you know, making their different styles work with the music that they're playing with. So it's pretty cool.
Nice. Let's see if I got any other questions that I had written down here. You know, I was curious too, you know, just to talk a little bit about your day job, you know, when you're not, you know, it's like Superman and Clark Kent, like you got the Clark Kent. What's your Clark Kent?
So I recently just got hired. I haven't started yet. So
okay.
I'll be starting next June, software engineering. So that's kind of my day job.
So you're a computer guy in the day job.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I do that by day and just come home and play. So
nice.
Yeah.
Are you coding or what do you do?
Yeah, I do coding. I do IT work, troubleshooting, things such as that. My degree was in computer science, so obviously I have a pretty strong coding background as well. But yeah.
Nice.
And I've heard a lot of the computer guys are also musicians. I don't know if it's something about the way the brain is wired or what, but I guess there's like some real truth to that a lot of the computer guys are also musicians. So
I think that is true. My nephew is, he's young, but he's all getting into coding right now. I think he's a freshman in high school.
Okay.
But before that, he studied piano and he loves saxophone. He sight reads music.
Yeah.
There might be something to like people that sight read music and then the coding.
Yeah, I don't know. It's something in the brain. Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. Do you have you gotten into like making apps or anything like that?
Well, for like college and stuff, I worked on different things, but none right now that I'm currently working on. Obviously, I'll be devoting my time to the company I'm working for. So
yeah, for sure. Well, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
That's exciting. Are you? Yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, what's the next?
Are you planning any trips to Hawaii anytime soon?
Probably not this year. Pretty busy at this year because starting work and then doing other gigs and stuff. But maybe next year. Maybe. I hope. Hopefully I can schedule it around the Steel Festival so that I can play there.
Nice. Yeah, the Maui one. Have you been to that one yet?
I have not been. I've been to Maui, but I haven't been to that festival. I was in Maui, I think, before they started doing Alan started running it and doing the Maui Steel Festival. But I listened to it on Steel Radio. They had it on this past one. I guess it was a couple of weeks ago already. And, I was able to actually record it and hear all different things different players were doing. So that was really nice that they broadcasted that. And I think they're going to rebroadcast it, I want to say Memorial Day weekend. So if you missed it and you want to listen to it, go to steelradio.com and, take a listen to it.
Very cool. Yeah, I mean, I would think, I'm just throwing this out there, but I would think you could be like a featured artist at one of those.
I'd like to be. I was lucky when I was in Hawaii in 2015. Alan asked me to be a featured artist at the Waikiki Festival, the Waikiki Steel Guitar Festival. And that has since moved, as I understand it, to the Royal Hawaiian Hotel. Originally it was on Beach Walk, Lure Street. I guess this year, they're doing like a week-long list of activities for that festival. Whereas when I was there, it was like just a one day. So if you're thinking about going this summer, I think it's in July. If anybody out there is thinking about going, check it out, the Waikiki Steel Guitar Festival. And I think there's a website for that as well. So
yeah, and I think a lot of that's on Addison Ching's and Alan's Steel Trappings, and that's. I always kept misspelling trappings. Trappings has two P's.
Yeah. So I guess Addison just started the Steel Trappings, the blog, and we've had different contributors there. I know you've been putting your podcasts on there, and I recently just completed a series on Finale, the music notation software. So nice. You can check all that out as well.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a very cool blog. I know he's doing a great job to always make sure it always stays updated. So, definitely check that out, steeltrappings.com.
Yeah, and you said you were doing one on Finale. What's that entail?
Yeah, so it was basically a tutorial for, a steel guitarist never having any experience with Finale to be able to start using it and creating arrangements. So I kept it fairly simple. Now, it's very detailed, so definitely check it out. Follow all the steps that, but I get you from creating a blank sheet of paper to actually being able to add in the music notation staffs, the tablature staffs, making sure you can tailor it to whatever tuning you want to do the arrangement in, and then,
nice.
Being able to notate the music.
Very cool. Yeah, I mean, I've used Finale a little bit. One I use, what's it called? Sibelius is the one that I use a little bit.
Yeah, I've heard of them, but I haven't used them.
And then the one that I found is the easiest. It's just like so easy. Is Guitar Pro. Guitar Pro 6.
Okay.
And you can change the tuning, and it's super simple. So Finale always seemed like, man, it's pretty complicated,
Yeah, I mean, the goal of the tutorial, I mean, it doesn't show you everything, but at least it gets you started so that you have a platform you can build off of then.
Nice.
Yeah, Finale, I've enjoyed Finale, especially it's good with if you're doing chord charts. I mean, you can create rhythmic charts, and I know Band in the Box does that as well. You can print out your chord charts in there, but I really like the way Finale's looked. I know if you look at it like any of Alan's music or some of the stuff that he had for his ensemble, he uses Finale for his chord charts as well.
Oh, yeah, they look so professional,
Yeah.
Are you having to put in, like in Finale, I know in Sibelius, I'd have to put in the tab and then go up and put in the notation in addition to that. Do you have to do that in Finale?
So with Finale, I mean, there's a couple different ways to do it. I mean, you can put in the tab and then just drag it, and then it knows based on the tuning that you set on the tablature. It knows what notes you're playing, so it saves a lot of time that way. So all your standard notation is all proper. So
nice.
Yeah, so that's good. And you can even actually, if you don't have your steel with you or something, you hear something, you can put it in the standard notation. Then when you get home, you can drag it down to the tablature and figure out how to play that on the steel. So
that's cool.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool.
Nice. Yeah, the Guitar Pro, you type it in and it just comes up, on the notation above it. It seems.
Okay.
There's another one, Table Edit, that a lot of people use. That's a free one, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a free one. I've seen a couple different things done in that, and that's good as well. But obviously, nothing looks as professional as like Finale or Sibelius or something like that.
Yeah, you can really dial in. I mean, every little aspect.
Yeah,
of
those, I mean, the
things.
Tab that I have up here, the Honolulu March, that was done in Finale. So you'll see
nice.
How it looks.
Cool. Yeah, and once again, we'll probably sign off here. But yeah, if you're looking at learning his Honolulu March, check out onlinelessonvideos.com, and I'm gonna put a little artist section up, or you'll have your own little link on there and everything. So hopefully, in the future, you can maybe, if you have another arrangement, let me know and we'll check it out on the podcast.
All right, sounds good.
Cool, man. Well, I really appreciate you being on the show, and I'm sure it was really informative. Thanks.
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate the platform. And yeah.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Mark.
All right.
We'll hopefully talk again, and we'll see you down the road.
Okay. Thanks. Take care.
Okay. Thanks, Mark.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.